G'day crew, welcome to Goat Fantasy. Nice to have your company. It's the Wednesday Mailbag edition. Goat Fantasy brought to you by checkmyrate.au. Visit the website, it's free to use. Take control of your financial future. So the Mailbag, let's get underway on this Wednesday. Just a couple of newsy notes for you. So Xavier Taylor to debut for the Demons. Of course, since we last spoke, unfortunately, Noah Anderson ruled out after undergoing an appendectomy on Monday. So, probably 1 to 2 weeks for Noah on the sidelines. And some really sad news today. Fantasy football just doesn't matter in a time like this. But we're all feeling for Jordan Dawson and his entire family. His brother Jared, unfortunately, passed away. He was found by emergency services today in South Australia after going missing yesterday. So, quite clearly, football is sort of the last thing on Jordan's mind at the moment, and we hope that he's going okay in what must be a horrible time for the entire family, and didn't train today, quite obviously, and you wouldn't think that he'd be playing for the Crows against the Saints on Saturday night. Please get in touch with Lifeline, talk to your friends and family if you can, speak to someone if you're not feeling well or great about how your life is going. My DMs are open if you want to chat. So, it feels like a tough pivot from Jared Dawson to the Mailbag. But thanks for tuning in to Goat Fantasy. Of course, I'm your host, Drew Jones. And as always, we do our Monday Rage Trades and we do our Wednesday Mailbag. So, George de Guzman says, if you can get out to Tulla and get an update on Fiorini, my draft team will thank you. He's been TBC with the back for 3 weeks and no update from the club. Need to get him out there involved in the chippy chip. Yeah, and I feel for you because he would get him points right now. There's no doubt about that. He's still TBC. I think the update from Brad today was that they're still trying to work through this issue, unfortunately. So you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for Fiorini. Bonsfield's Wizard, Caldwell to Roberts. Yes, tick that off. Butterick to Rankin. Have to loop Lombard and Gallup with Devrob. Caldwell just needs to go. Biggest concern is he's lost CBAs in form. Yeah, well, I've got Caldwell and he's been horrible. I'm sort of, in an ideal world, even before the Noah Anderson thing, I was probably going to just play a straight bat, keep the underperforming premiums, just hope that they turn their form around. I've got 4 forced trades, so that sort of is out the window now. But if I were you, I would just hold Caldwell as much as you want to bullet him. But if you can't make anything work in your forward line because there is no one to go down to, I agree with that, then sure, just do the loop and get rid of Caldwell. Corey Blackledge, thoughts on Blackiston and Windsor for Roberts and McInerney. Yeah, love it. You're holding Butterick and Robertson, so yeah, I guess if you have some cash next week, you can deal with it. But if you're holding over too many injured guys to next week, you might find that they pile up because we've had forced trades almost every week. Kent says Zorko, Butterick, and Robertson. Yes, they are the 3 of the 4 bullets. Is it best to hold Dev to enable a move to Petrarca and McInerney? Yeah, you obviously have to hold someone, and in the forward line, you want to be going upwards. So you can't be going downwards. So use that money to your advantage, and you can deal with Devrob next week. Nate the Great Fantasy. Devrob to Angus Anderson, wins it to Naz/Roberts or Baslenka. Great move. That's fantastic. If you don't have too many bullets, you can do some good stuff this week. Anderson, Zorko, Butterick, and Robertson. Which 2 go and why? This is from Lockie LM. Yeah, I feel you, brother. I'm right there with you. So I'm going to speak to Gold Coast this week and just ascertain what Anderson's situation is. I think in an ideal world, I'm holding Anderson and either Butterick or Robertson. Just if you hold Robertson, then he doesn't lock out so soon. But then it gets complex. I've tried to play this out a little bit in my mind. Like literally then I pause because my mind is ticking over, trying to remember how I was thinking about doing it. Obviously you're trading Zorko because you need that cash and he's out for 3 weeks. And then you've got to work out, do you hold Butterick and just put him in your forward line and there's nothing you can do about it? Because if you leave Robertson in your utility, then you can potentially move things around if you try and loop, say, a Lombard. So, yeah, there are ways you can get creative to try and work out where you're going to spend your money and what player you're going to bring in. But you have to be careful with that. You really need to play it out first. You could just go the straight bat and just fill in the spots in your forward line and use the cash of Zorko. That's the safe way to do it. You can loop Lombard. That's a bit more challenging, but potentially with high risk, high reward, I would say. So Pez says he's got 3, Zorko, Robertson and Butterick. Currently torn over my Zorko replacements being Roberts or Newman. Also unsure whether to trust Rankin or pay up for C-Mac. Yeah, I mean, Roberts feels like a free kick because of the low break-even, relatively lowish price for what you're getting and the role being so good considering the change in game style, the doubling, tripling down on the chip around the back line. It feels like a bit of a gift. Newman is just a little less trustworthy. We didn't get to see him last week in favourable conditions, but, the runs are on the board. So I'd probably lean towards Roberts, but if, the combo of Newman and C-Mac, I'd probably still prefer Roberts and Rankin. I think that's probably the way you go. Hyrax with BZT likely in for Lukosius. Is Marshall safe to run at F6? He's safe as a looper, but it's possible to play forward. So it's very likely. So there is some risk associated with Marshall being in your top 6 forwards. Hens at 360. Is Butterick on the track this week? Yeah, unfortunately he's out for 3 to 5 weeks. With a hamstring. The trades are currently Windsor to Anderson and Zorko to Nasai, Wanganeen, Millerer. Yeah, good luck, but you might have to replace Butterick. Jack Matchett. If I'm hunting a rookie price forward to downgrade from Butterick, where would you rank Hines, Roby, Schonberg, and Hannafin? I think Roby, given Essendon's situation, is going to get a run of games. So I'd probably like him the most. Hannaford has been playing quite well. Schonberg, tough to know at West Coast, but he hasn't done much. Hines, I'd probably have them sort of, him and Schonberg sort of level. Roby, Hannaford, and then the next 2. JDD70, feel like I know the answer already, but Farrow was a bad fade. The question is, do I grab Farrow knowing he's relatively safe to put on field, or grab the cash for the not-so-fieldable Perez Dirksen as a cash grab? I don't think that Dirksen's going to keep his spot with Dean and Wiedering returning. I don't mind Flynn Perez, but I just think the upside of Farrow, I think you probably have to go there. Just view him as a really cheap mid-pricer who's going to make you a lot of cash. Olivia Calvi. Hi, Goats. How would you prioritise those trades? I'll probably hold Noah and Dev Rob. Yeah. And use the red dot loops and trade out Windsor and Butterick. Ooh, with no Zorko. Yeah, that's fine. Hold Noah. He could be back next week, and then at least you've got another premium to bring onto your field. Obviously, Dev Rob doesn't have a huge amount of cash, so you can hold out to next week. I like the move of getting rid of Windsor, who's done. Zach, news on English could be a good pod if he isn't on managed game time. Yeah, we're not going to know until tomorrow night, I wouldn't have thought, but I'm at the Bulldogs tomorrow, so I can have a look, and obviously we'll be asking Bevo. That's from Zach. John, Zorko to Roberts, love that. Dev Rob to Rankin. Cook to cover Bud, very good, well done. Is McGrath's move into the midfield something that's likely to stick, or was it a one-off? Also, is Amon playing further up on the wing as opposed to his typical half-back role? Yeah, I mean, he was playing with a sore knee, so that's an issue for Amon. But things are a bit fluid back there. Impey's got a pretty big role, and then Perez has come in. So perhaps the Perez experiment may not last that long, and then you might find that Amon slides back into that half-back distributor role. But Perez offers a bit more run and carry, so it's a different type of player to Amon. And McGrath's move to the midfield may have just been specifically for him to do that job on Kasaya. Jared Hansen, who are you picking as a forward upgrade out of McDonald, Rankin, Moore, and McInerney? I've got McDonald as my number 1 there, McInerney 2. VC3, hi Goat, thoughts on Pickett and Robert/Neil in for Butterick and Houston, or Rankin and Robert/Neil for Butterick and Fonte? Ooh. Interesting. I feel like Houston, it could go. I wouldn't mind if you traded Houston. I don't think I'll be trading in Neil. I think it's Roberts that you trade in. But yeah, Houston. Houston or Fonte? It's a good question. I like Fonte. He's in my dynasty team. He's in my Supercoach team. His arrow's pointing up. I'm not sure where Houston's pointing right now. Grover says, weirdly, due to money in bank, I've traded D-Rob and Butterick. Zorko and Nando have gone to the bench. With my weeks past, Zorko may be back before I can trade. Next week, 508 in the kitty. Yeah, I mean, you can try to hold Zorko, but there's no guarantee he'll be back in 2 weeks, so I wish you all the best. JT, hey mate, Zorko is going to Wang/Roberts. Is moving off one of Bud or Dev a bigger issue than the problem that is Caldwell? I can see a world where Cald is reasonable in the next 2 weeks. Already have 5 primo forwards, so not desperate to bring it forward. Yeah, and that's if you've got 5 primo forwards, then that's a situation where you could say, oh, maybe I don't have to trade these guys straight away. Yeah, if I could trade off Caldwell, I would. So I would say yes, it's reasonable to get off him. Matt Masker, is Archie Roberts a must-have? And if he is, so is A. Anderson. Means I can't trade 2 forwards. Yeah, you're just going to have to trade one of the forwards, unfortunately. You can get Anderson next week, would be my view on that. Luke Littler, have Bud, Fonte and Dev Rob, and already used 2 boosts, so looking to not use that again. Would you hold one of Dev, Rob or Bud as a loop this week? Who are our top forward line targets now that the rookies look extremely scarce with Marshall heading to the forward line? Yeah, that's a question without notice. I've traded in Pickett and Rochelle over the last couple of weeks into my Supercoach forward line. So, Rankin's a cheap option who we've spoken about a bit. I think Ginnivan is looking really good. I think Tuke Miller as a forward is going to be really good for us. Especially given Noah Anson's out this week, so you get some instant rewards. So there are some forwards there that you could bring in. I still think Murphy Reid is good value for what he's doing, and he'll score well against West Coast. So yes, save your boosts for later in the year. You can hold easily one of those forwards. G'day Drew, this is from Fantasy Fanatic, fellow Eagles supporter here. Do we think Bailey Williams will be in the side longer after that performance? Oh, he's got a spot for a few weeks. The question is, do you want to bring him in so soon? Because Luke Jackson on the horizon this week, that's your big issue. He's probably not going to score this week. Dino, bringing in one of Naz, Heaney, Rochelle and Rankin. Who would you suggest based on the current structure? Okay, let's have a look. We've got 4 midfielder rookies. We've got Philippou, Marshall, and Cook. Blamire, Sarong. I would say you want a forward. So look at Rochelle or Rankin. Dino would be my view, my uneducated view. Anna Willis running with this trade, holding Bud and hoping Lombard kicks some goals for once. With Anderson and Rochelle coming in, Windsor and Robertson going out. I think it's a big gamble to assume that Lombard will score well. But if you're that desperate to get off Windsor, I understand. Cricketer Son, hey Goat, who is a priority to trade in? Got the cash and plenty of DPP. Baz, Cozzy, A. Roberts. Great work with the pod. I'm tempted to say Baz because the bloke is scoring for fun and he just looks like a sick man, like he just wants the footy. And that is a great quality, as simple as it sounds. I said this to one of my mates today. Having someone in your team who just wants to get the ball, they're just sick for it, is a great thing to have, especially when you've been watching Caldwell and Anderson run around in your team. Roberts is the best value this week. Cozzy, very reliable. Baz has got the ceiling. So you can't go wrong with any of those 3. Pop Greg, Butterick to Petrarca or Zorko to Roberts/Baz. Yeah, it depends what you've got in your backline, mate. So I'm moving Zorko to Petrarca as it stands in fantasy because I can bring those sort of mid/defenders into the backline, like Blamires, Grill, all those guys, to just fill spots. It's not ideal, and they probably won't score that well, but in order to get... The forward line is grim, so that's why I've gone, okay, let's get Petrarca in because at the moment I've only got 4 playing forwards. Andrew, I've got Zorko, Bud and Dev Rob. I'm going to play Lombard for the week. Yeah, and there's a few of us that are in that boat. Trades of Vicentini to Reed and Zorko to Roberts. Very nice. All right, picking this back up with Max and the dogs. So I hope the audio's okay. I just had too many questions to get through last night. So Laney SO5 at this stage with Dev, Rob and Butterick out. I'll need to trade one of them to a less than 600k forward. Is there anyone out there we like? In our hitting zone, happy to go down to a rook, but don't like any of the options that present. We'll be going Windsor to Naz with the second trade. As far as affordable forwards go, there's not a lot out there. I'm just going to pause and bring it up, and then we can go through a couple of the options. So just give me 1 sec here. I'm just going to pause. All right, so I'm going under 750k, sorted by average here. So Bailey Williams, 595, average of 115. So he's got Luke Jackson this week, but he does have the number one ruck role. So he may not score well this week, but for the time that he is the number one ruck at West Coast, perhaps he'll score okay. Henry Thomas has had a good season. Harvey Thomas has had a good season on the wing for GWS. I'm not sure he's got much upside above what he's currently averaging, but he's been serviceable. Tom Sparrow's been good at 745 if you can get there. And Sanders 721, Reed 714, Kelly 722 are all okay options. They're reasonable. Nick Watson at 677 is a risk, but he is playing as more than just a small forward these days. I'm looking at some other names here. There's Lewis, Lukosius, Norton, Neil Bullen. So Darcy Byrne-Jones is the one at 656, which I think it's got some legs as a rebounding defender. 80 last week, 100 the week before. Lawler at 644 hasn't really worked out. Humphrey at 717, no. Peter Wright was good as the number one ruck last week with 108, but you'd think Nick Bryan is coming back soon. Yes, hello, Max. And that's probably about it, to be honest. Durham at 717, too much of a risk, even though he's got the forward status. So, yeah, that's about it, to be honest. So good luck trying to find a budget forward. Liam's next question is also about forwards. He says anyone else I would have over C-Mac at under 837. To be honest, Connor McDonald is one of my favourite options to bring in this week if you're not going to the top with Took Miller, Petrarca, or Cosy Pickett. So Liam, I'm saying C-Mac is the way to go. Harley Scotland, yes, hello Max. Punting losses. Is Ridley a genuine option? Seems great value. Too risky in salary cap because of his injury history, but like him in draft if he's available on the waiver wire. And then we've got the current archives. What's the likelihood of Marshall playing forward and Leo popping a fieldable score against the Bombers? Leo, I mean, you can't expect more than 50 or 60, and Marshall playing forward, that's a very strong option. All right, so that's the first set of questions. I did do a repost last night, so I'm just going to bring that up. So just give me a moment. I'm just going to cajole Max as well. Yes, mate. All right, so thanks for your responses to the next post. So Rolling Lockout asks about McInerney. Seems to have the CBA role. Could be a top six forward. He definitely is a great option until Goulden returns, and he might even retain that afterwards because he's shown some fantasy game even before Goulden went out. So I like McInerney. Absolutely Rolling Lockout. Steve, Drew, love your work on the pod. Can you rank Petrarca, Pickett, Rochelle, and McInerney as your trade targets? I still think Petrarca's the one that you want to have for the rest of the season. So if you feel like this is the week you can get him, I'm encouraging you to do that. I think Pickett is fully priced, but is a gun, and then I'd have Rochelle and McInerney. So that's your four in order. Matt, I'm in the same boat as you, Drew, with 4 trades. I'm torn to prioritise cash gen or get points on field. Matty, I'm in the exact same boat as you, trying to work out, do I get the rookie in? But I am going to go with I think 2 forwards, unless I can work out a looping option. Sorry, Max is trying to grab the microphone. So if you can do the same, potentially waiting on Lombard, I think that's a good option. Make Flagmantle a reality. I can't shake the Zach Bailey option, even though there are better value or safer primo options. Please help me. Well, I think depends what your rank is. I've sort of got this feeling at the moment that I wouldn't mind going some pods just because the season has spiraled out of control. Go safe if you're ranked high, and if not, give Zach Bailey a crack. It's a contract year. Thoughts on Goulburn or Hannaford? Goulburn, let's just wait for selection with Petrarca coming back. I know the Anderson thing doesn't help, but at least he'll get another week. Hannaford, I don't mind. I just don't know that much about him, but small forward. He's never going to score amazingly well. Dylan Goodall, hope all is well. Thinking of going Zorko and Windsor to Naz and Roberts. And he's asking, should I go Pickett instead? Max, you're okay. Yeah, he's fine. I think if you can get Naz and Roberts this week and then sort out your forwards next week, I think that's fine. Clay Smith, can you suss the Marshall role if possible? Yeah, I'll follow up that today and for the rest of the week. There's been a bit going on in Adelaide, so it's been hard to keep track of everything with the Dawson stuff. Neil T, why are people against Warner? Increase of CBA since Goulden went down. Forward options, so only need him to go around 90. Best 23, priced at 81. Can be a tag risk, but surely that goes to Heaney. I love Warner. Better in real life than fantasy. Better in Supercoach than fantasy. So I think if you're a believer, then buy into him. Absolutely. The Cunt Archives has come back for another. Hey, Drew never ended up getting Murdoch all those weeks ago. Do you even think the sliding doors of getting Anderson and Murdoch are a must, even if it means fielding Leo and Todd Marshall? I think getting Milan Murdoch is a great option this week if you don't have him, because he's going to make a lot of cash. Just watching him at training yesterday, he is a freak. All right, Max is cracking it. That means it's time for me to go. Appreciate all the responses. We'll have more for you if there's news today, and tomorrow you'll catch me with Warnie. Thanks for your time on Goat Fantasy Podcast, and Max says goodbye.